So, SIC codes, what are they? Are they important? And what SIC codes do you need for your property investment strategy? Don't worry, if you don't know the answer to any of these questions, you're in the right place. In today's YouTube video, I'm going to run through all of this and more. So, welcome back to the YouTube channel, everyone that's been here before, and if this is your first time here, hello. Make sure you do hit that subscribe button and check out all of the other awesome tax-saving videos that we've got on the channel that are going to help you pay less in tax and make more money. Today, we're going to be talking about SIC codes. What are they? Are they important to you? And most importantly, what SIC code should you have for your property limited company in the UK? So SIC codes, what does it stand for? Standard Industrial Classification Code. And this is basically a requirement by the government when you're running your limited company or LLP through Companies House. You have to have a SIC code on it. And this is basically just a factor, a descriptor that tells Companies House and also the Office of National Statistics what your company is doing. So usually it's a 5-digit number with basically a description of the activity that you're doing, and this basically just tells the Office of National Statistics what all of the companies in the UK are actually doing, what industries they're doing, where are they being productive, so they can track trends and use this for reporting. The SIC code that you should have for your business depends on its activities. So for everyone property related, I'm going to run through some of the core SIC codes that you need to have, and it's all based on the property activity you'll be doing. So the first one we're looking at is, well, the first thing to look at is what is your business actually doing? Because you can't really have loads of different SIC codes on one limited company because of the impacts it will have when it comes to financing. Actually, when it comes to Companies House, you can have 4 SIC codes on there. It could be any mix of SIC codes. It's not a problem at all. But the biggest problem you'll have is when it comes to getting mortgages. I'll give you an example. Basically, usually when it comes just to buying property, as you'll see, you should have the 68209 SIC code, but this client actually had another SIC code on there as well, non-property related, and actually the mortgage lender wouldn't even lend to that limited company because it had other SIC codes on it that they didn't deem acceptable. So actually, when it comes to setting up your property investment in SPV, you really need to keep things simple. Make sure you do it the right way, because in this case, this client actually had to set up a whole brand new company just to get a mortgage for this property. You can change your SIC codes at any time just by updating this with Companies House. But again, as we spoke about in that previous example, some lenders can see the history of SIC codes. So if it's previously been a trading business and you've now changed the SIC codes for property investment, lenders still probably won't be happy with this, and as a result you have to set up a brand new fresh SPV that's never had any trading activity going through it. What SIC codes should you be having for your property businesses? The first one is 68320, and this is basically for property management. So if you're running basically a letting agency, you're managing properties for people, you're doing rent to rent but on a management basis, that's the SIC code that you would have. Or 68209, that's the most common, where you're literally buying property to rent it out, but you'd also have that as well if you were doing rent to rent on a HMO basis. You'd look to have that one. 68100, that's for buying and selling. So if you're buying for flipping properties, that's the SIC code that you would have for that limited company. And then 68310, that's real estate agencies, and that's basically if you're doing sourcing or deal packaging. With serviced accommodation, if you're doing rent to serviced accommodation, you probably could have 68209, or you could have the tour operator SIC code, which can be a factor when it comes to persuading HMRC that your rent to rent business falls under the TOMS side of the VAT legislation, rather than being accounted for under the standard rate, which can cost significantly more on VAT, but we've spoken about that in other YouTube videos. So because of this, you really need to make sure that you do have the right SIC code when you set the company up. So if you are setting up a company to do rent to rent, to do management, to do flips, actually you've got the right SIC codes and you don't really change your activity, because you'll have problems when it comes to financing if you need that. It can even give difficulties when it comes to getting bank accounts, because they'll see that your business plan is for this, but you've got SIC codes for this, and ultimately it can just lead to more questions. So when it comes to setting up your company, it's best to have 100% clarity as to what strategy you'll be doing in that company. And often for this reason as well, it makes sense to separate them out so that it's easy to get mortgage finance, and there are tons of tax implications as well when it comes to separating out the businesses. And that's really all there is to it, guys. Standard industrial classification codes, a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on these and kind of swear a bit too much about them, but they really aren't the be all and end all. Just make sure you've got the right one when it comes to property investment, because that's the only time we see it significantly matter. There aren't really any tax issues. You don't get fines from Companies House for having the wrong SIC code. It's literally just if you're trying to get a mortgage or some kind of finance from a company that it can lead to issues and challenges. But for most people, you can have pretty much any SIC code you want without issue, especially if you're doing rent to rent. Deal sourcing, not an issue at all. It's literally only when you come to get mortgages that we've only ever seen it in our hundreds, probably nearer thousands of clients that we've worked with. That's the only time we've ever seen an issue. So honestly, don't worry about it too much, guys. But if you can, make sure you get it right. 68209 is the most common one for anybody watching this as a property investor. That's all you need, just the one, 68209, and you won't go wrong with that. If you find this video useful, do give it a thumbs up and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, see you next Wednesday, guys.